and you don't have this, your insurance company is going to really love you, because they will use that loophole to not pay you. So it starts making a little bit more sense now why you would want to make sure that you have the right license. Welcome back, guys. This is a big one today. This is all about what licensing you're going to need to drive your RV in your state. Hang about and find out. You might be surprised. Without further delay, let's roll the intro. Okay guys, I'm going to try and do what is effectively a fairly complicated subject as logically as I possibly can. So the first thing that you need to understand is the United States has different licensing requirements in each state. So you can be driving in one state across the border and you are then under a different set of rules. Now what I'm going to do, because we only want to be concerned about the rules that pertain to RVs, recreational vehicles, I'll put a map up now and you'll be able to see the 15 states that have issues with RVs and their licensing that you need to understand. Now these states tend to be the ones that people want to travel around in, states like California and Texas and things like that. So if you're going to be buying an RV, traveling in an RV and spending time in any of those states, then you need to really listen to what's going to transpire through this video. Alright, here I am at the beginning of my first lesson for the MR license that we need to drive the RV in 14 states in the US. This has sort of been thrown in at the last minute because as you already know, we thought we could drive on our standard driver's license. We can do that in most of the states, 36 of the states, but in 14 states we have to have an MR license. So I'm off to have my lesson. Enough. Enough. Come on. Okay, so let's kick off with the different driver's licenses. Nope, get away from there. Hey, yo. You don't eat dead birds. Alright, where was I? Let's start off with the different driver's licenses. Okay, so the United States, for the purposes of this video, they have 4 main licenses. They've got an A class, B class, C class and D class license. Some states have strange, specific to RV licenses, but that's just going to make things a hell of a lot more complex. So I'll just stick with the main 4 licenses in the United States. So the D class license is your standard normal driver's license. The B class license is effectively a commercial vehicle license. It allows you to drive a single vehicle which is more than enough. Stop barking at the horse. Come on, let's go. Leave the horse alone. Come on. Alright, where was I? So the D class license is your license that is for a car. The B class license is to allow you to drive a vehicle which is more than 26,000 pounds. So it would be like, I don't know, bus drivers and courier van drivers, people who are driving a fairly substantial size vehicle but not towing anything. Then you've got the C class license. Now this is like a dangerous goods license, so we can just ignore that. And then the last one is the A class license, which you're going to need to pay attention to. So bearing all of those different licenses in mind, the equivalents of those in Australia, for example, is your standard driver's license, which I believe is a C class license. Then we have an MR, which will pretty much cover off the US A class license. However, if you're a young person and you don't have your licensing yet, if you're going to get a CDL, a commercial driver's license, then I would recommend that you don't get the MR. I would go for the HR. The cost is about the same, and the HR just gives you that additional advantage. In New Zealand, if you're going to need to get a different license, then I think it's the HT, which is the heavy transport license. So the next step, of course, is to work out exactly what it is that you can do with each of these licenses with regard to recreational vehicles. So we'll start off with your normal standard driver's license. In all but 15 states of the United States, you can jump into any vehicle, any RV vehicle. You can tow any RV vehicle, you can drive any RV vehicle. And it generally won't be a problem. However, as soon as you move into one of those states that requires a special license, then the following applies. If you have a standard driver's license, you may tow a vehicle which is not in excess of £10,000, and you must not have a combination of vehicles, so that's your vehicle that you're driving and the vehicle that you're towing, in excess of £26,000. So if you're driving a B or C class RV, chances are you're not going to have any problems. If you're towing a vehicle behind a C-class RV, depending on the size of your C-class and the size of the vehicle that you're towing, you may or may not have a problem. So long as you do not exceed that 26,000 pound, the magic number, 26,000 pound, and 10,000 pounds for what you're towing, you should be okay. Now, in those 15 states, if you exceed the vehicle weight of 26,000 pound that you're driving, then you are required to get a B-class license. Now, the B-class license will only allow you to drive that one vehicle. You cannot tow anything behind it. And if you've been RVing for a while, you will know that if you have a very large RV, you want to be towing a vehicle behind it. So let's not bother with the B-class license. If you're going to get a different license other than your driver's license, you want to get an A-class license. The A-class license will allow you to drive a vehicle which weighs more than 26,000 pound, or a combination of vehicles which weighs more than 26,000 pound. Now, there is still the towing restriction. Now, I believe it's still 10,000 pound. I'll check that, and I'll put a little notation up in the sky here around me somewhere, so that, just to confirm that. So hopefully that makes the licenses clear. So if you've got an A-class like mine, which has a weight of 23,000 pound, and my vehicle that I'm towing is 3,600 pound, that puts me at 26,600 pound. I'm 600 pound overweight, so I have to have an A-class license in the US. Okay, first lesson's over. Not the best. I still know how to drive a manual, but not to the standard that the assessors would expect to be able to pass me. So we'll see how we get on the next test. Now let's talk about these weights. So there's a couple of weights that you need to be aware of. That's your gross vehicle weight and your gross combination weight. Now, these are the weights that your vehicle, the maximum weight that your vehicle can be. That's including its load, so what you've got inside your vehicle. So hopefully that covers off your weights. I'll also I'll put up a couple of photographs of the labeling so that you can check this out on your own vehicle and know what you're actually supposed to be looking for or looking at. Right, so a little quick synopsis of that. If you've got an A-class vehicle and you're towing a vehicle behind it, you're going to need to have an A-class license. If you're just going to be driving an RV that is more than 26,000 pound, you'll need a B, but I wouldn't bother getting a B, I'd stick with the A. Alright, so now I'll run through the types of RVs. So you've effectively got motorhomes, which are split into three categories. So you got the B class, which is the little like vans. So you don't need any special license to drive that anywhere. You can just use your normal driver's license. Can be a bit of a pain going to the grocery store, but it's just a van, so it's about the size of a car with a big roof. The next one up is the C-Class. Now the C-Class is big enough to be really annoying around town, but you can tow another vehicle behind it if you want. So if you're just driving it by itself, your normal driver's license should be fine. And the last category of motorhome is the A-Class, the big A-Class. This is what we've purchased. Now they do come bigger than £26,000, and they do come under that. Like I said before, mine is £23,000 gross weight, which means that I can drive it with my normal driver's license, but as soon as I add the car on, then I'm blown out of the water with the requirements. So I'll just quickly cover off the Australian equivalent licensing. So if you are driving an A-Class more than £26,000 or an A-Class or C-Class with a combination weight of more than £26,000, then you're going to need to get the MR or HR. In New Zealand you would need to get the HT. Okay, so now we have I've lost my train of thought, hang on. Okay, now we have the travel trailers, which is the next type of RV. So they come in a variety of different sizes. You've got standard caravans, which are towed behind a vehicle, variety of sizes. They come in both on-road and off-road, and they split down into even more categories. They have pop tops and pop outs, and the smallest one is the travel trailer, which is basically like a tent on a trailer, and it has bits and pieces that slide in and out of it. So yeah, a whole heap of different types of caravans. Now the third one is the great big huge fifth wheeler. Now if you're going to be getting a fifth wheeler, the chances are you are going to blow that combination weight out of the window. Your truck is going to be probably about 10 or 12,000 pound, and the fifth wheel is probably 17,000 pounds. So you need to do some math and work it out and make sure that you're right with your licensing. Alright, good morning. This is the third EMA truck lesson that I'm going for today. Hopefully this will be the last one, and then I'll be able to go and do the practical assessment. Right now I'm not particularly confident. I've still got a couple of little things that are annoying the hell out of me. Hopefully I can knock those off in this lesson and then go for the driving test and pass. It's a little annoying, but you know, I'm glad I found out that I needed it early rather than trying to rush it through at the last minute. So it's August, I've still got until February to get it. So I'm pretty confident I will get it. Every lesson's just costing more money, so the sooner I can get it finished, the better. Anyway, we'll see how we get on. Okay, probably the next, my goodness, sorry about that. He keeps going around trying to tie me up. Probably the next thing to be concerned about is your insurance coverage. Now, if you are traveling around in your RV and it's all covered, you've got your insurance covered and everything's looking good, and you have an accident and you are in one of those states that requires you to have a different license than your normal driving license, and you don't have this, your insurance company is going to really love you, because they will use that loophole to not pay you. So it starts making a little bit more sense now why you would want to make sure that you have the right license. So you don't have the right license, your insurance company goes, thanks very much, we'll keep our money, and you're out of pocket for any expenses to repair your vehicle. It gets worse than that. You've hit somebody else. You are in an area, hang on, he's tied himself up. Okay. Alright, as I was saying, it gets worse than that. He's tied me up. You've smashed into somebody else. It turns out that you're in one of those states that you need to have a special license for, and you don't have it. So now you're not only having your insurance company not pay for your vehicle, but you've got their insurance company suing you to pay for the other vehicle. And then it gets worse. You then have the court system deciding that they're going to charge you for not having the appropriate licensing for your vehicle as well. So then you've got some fines to pay. And just when you think that things are looking okay, you've paid for all the damage and you've paid your fines, the person that you've hit needs medical treatment. Now, the medical treatment in the United States is prohibitively high. So that could be break the bank stuff, particularly if it's a bad accident. Alright, let's have a talk about your weights. More of a safety aspect. Take note of your gross laden weight. The gross laden weight is the difference between your vehicle weight and how much you can put in it. Now, a lot of people stick a lot of stuff in their vehicles. What you want to avoid is overloading your vehicle. You want to maintain within the weight allowance for that vehicle. This can cause a lot of problems. It can be quite dangerous. You can have issues with your braking distances. You can be overloading your braking systems. Worst case scenario, you fail to stop, or you fail to negotiate a corner because you can't slow down, or you're going down a hill and you burn out your brakes. All quite dangerous situations. You also have another aspect of weight that you need to consider, and that is your tow hitch weights. So your tow hitch is rated for being able to pull a certain amount of load, but also have a certain load applied to it. Now, there are tools and mechanisms available for you to test what that weight is that's being applied to your tow ball. You want to make sure that you're within the manufacturer's specifications for that as well. When you do load your vehicles, you want to sort of balance the load out. You don't want to have too much in the back, or too much in the front. If you have too much in the front, then it's going to affect your steering, because it's going to push the back of your vehicle down and your steering will become light. If you have too much in the front, it is going to lift the tow ball up, and that's just a really bad situation to be into. So you want to try and balance that load out so that you're getting within the manufacturer's guidelines of the weight that's being applied to your tow ball. It's fairly simple. It's a nice little tool as well. You could easily install this into your vehicle boot with all of your other equipment to make sure that you're loading your vehicle correctly. And I'll put an image of one up here so you can see it. It's pretty simple stuff. Okay, what's next? So we've done the licensing, we've done the vehicles, we've done the weights, done the insurance. Let me just refer to my notes. I'll be back with you shortly. Okay, so driving licenses, weight limits, classifications, license requirement, towing regulation. Alright, that's all of that page. That's not bad from memory. Insurance liability. Alright, so I did miss one little bit. So when you are getting your insurance, speak to your broker and your insurance provider and have them give you advice with regard to what insurance you need for your vehicle. So there's one other little twist to this as well. As you are now aware, the different states run by different rules, just to screw with everybody's head and make things more difficult than they need to be. So make sure that when you do take out your insurance that you're covered in all of the states in the US, not just the state that you're taking the insurance out in. It would be really devastating to take your insurance out in Ohio and you're only covered in Ohio, which might be fine if you never leave that state, but if you're going to the US and you're going to be doing RVing, you're going to be wanting to go to more than one state, I imagine.
Well, I haven't done an update on the MR license because I thought it was a little bit boring, me coming in, I'm here before my lesson, I'm here after my lesson, this is what went wrong, this is what didn't go wrong. So I stopped. So just one final update. I went for my test this morning and I have passed my test. Did a bit of a lesson, about an hour's lesson before the test, and then went and did the test. I was really crappy during my lesson, but in my test I seemed to switch on and get everything done correctly, which was a surprise. So that's another step out of the way that I don't have to worry about. I just have to send the paperwork off and my new license will come, and I can put that behind us, and then we can now carry on planning our holiday.
I thought of something. Get the appropriate license. It doesn't take that long. It's not that difficult to do. Particularly in the United States, you just basically go down the DMV, do the test and go for a drive. In Australia, it's a pain in the butt and it takes about four weeks to get. So yeah, just go and get the license. It's not that big a deal. It's a hassle, but it's not that big a deal, and you know, it's worth it for that peace of mind, in my view. I mean, the last thing you want to do is end up in a situation where you've got legal ramifications and wrangles and problems and issues because you've decided not to take a few weeks and get your licensing sorted out. If you take the time to get the license, you know, once you've got it, you've got it. It's there. It's something that's not going to go away so long as you keep paying for everything. I'm sure I've missed some things in this video, so I'm just going to quietly walk along here and try to think and see if I've actually missed anything else out, and I'll just sort of add that on as it comes to me. Okay guys, hopefully I've sort of made a very murky and grey area a little bit clearer. Certainly do your research beforehand. Take the 10 minutes or so to have a look at the weights of your vehicle. You know, go online, have a look at the different classes of license that you are likely to need for those vehicles that you're planning on driving. And then if you are not resident in the US, find the equivalent driver's license in your country and make sure that you have that before you go on your holiday. So as usual, help out the channel, hit that like button, hit the subscribe button. We really need to get a few more subscribers on here. We need to get the likes up so that the YouTube algorithm gods start to like the content and start pushing it out there. Yeah, so help us out, hit the subscribe button. Thanks guys, we'll see you next time.